Already I need to apologise for the pronunciation, but still with me from Curo, the Group Chief Executive, Victor da Cunha. I'm afraid my Portuguese just not strong enough to do that proper justice. Let's talk more local issues as well around this area, if we may. And start with your conference this year, which it sounded like it was a mixed bag for you, doing your digital conference online. I presumably had some weaknesses and some strengths for you, Victor.
We've tried throughout the very unusual world we've been living in to keep as many of our services and things that people, certainly our residents, have wanted us to carry on doing on track. And annually we've had a residents conference. Normally that would be a face-to-face conference. We'd have over 100 residents come into our head office in Bath, and we would ordinarily also then live stream those sessions or that conference over Facebook. And that's been the case for a while, but we didn't want to not do that this year because we know that many residents really value some of the sessions that we run. So we wanted, back to the point made earlier about innovation, wanted to innovate in order to carry on doing those sorts of things that our customers would like us to carry on doing. So we switched the entire conference to digital, and we broadcast it over a number of different platforms, YouTube and Facebook and various sort of video conferencing facilities. And what we've found is we've had a much wider reach than we've ever had before.
Right.
So rather than 100 people being in our office and then 1,500 people viewing over Facebook, I think the last time I saw it was about 3,500 views. So
that's fantastic. That's more than the council get.
So many more people, and because we broke it down into different sessions. So we had a session on fire safety and a different session on financial management. People could dip in and out for the things they wanted to look at, and then obviously subsequent view them when they wanted, and the areas they were particularly interested in. It was a really, really successful way of getting out to customers. We had a Q&A session live at the end with the chair and I. So I think in terms of reach, it was the most successful of all of our conferences. I guess for some people that would find a digital environment more difficult, there'll always be a bit of difficulty there. We'll probably, do a bit of a hybrid next year, which is we'll probably do a lot more of this digital. But for some of those that residents that might find it difficult, we may still invite some of those in. We know some of more elderly residents prefer face-to-face, and we may well do something like that tries to make sure we don't disengage some of our customers. But it was overall enormously successful because it got so much more coverage across those different platforms.
That's great. And presumably still available to view as well?
Yes. If you go on online, you'll be able to, and Curo have got a YouTube channel, so you just have to Google and you'll find us on YouTube. And we've got a Facebook page, and last time I saw we had something like 11,000 people on that page. We are pretty active on social media, so all you have to do is type in our name and we should appear, and those different slots will be available to view individually or the entire day if you fancy watching the whole thing.
Perhaps take it in chunks rather than all at once.
Exactly. Get a cup of tea.
Let's talk about one of the initiatives which you've driven forwards throughout 2020, which is the breathing space. And I thought perhaps there may be some residents that aren't aware of this, and therefore this is an opportunity just to let everybody know where they stand in terms of the eviction situation, should they be struggling with payments.
Yeah, of course. So, the starting point is that Curo is a social landlord. And that's important to say because that means that our job is to house people and to make sure they live in a home for the rest of their lives that they love living in. We don't want to be part of a system of evicting people and putting them through the homelessness system. Our job is to support people. So that's the fundamental starting point to this conversation. We've always worked with residents that have been struggling financially. We know the world's quite difficult, and very often people need just to be taken through various options, and in some cases just help through their income and expenditure to see really where their finances are. Now, we're not obviously independent financial experts, but what we are is able to support people, and where needed, we can signpost them to various agencies that are appropriately qualified if it is really quite complex and requires that. But our priority is to make sure that people live independently in their homes as long as possible, and that's what our agenda is. Really proud that we try to absolutely minimise any eviction, and this year 0 evictions for rent arrears.
That's great.
And that's principally because our purpose here is to help people, support people, not to try and be part of a process that gets people evicted. That's not to say, sadly, on occasions where all of our support has led to a situation where people are simply not engaging, means that we have to take some enforcement action. But we try absolutely to minimise any eviction, and that's always been our commitment. And that's not just in terms of rent arrears, that's also about social behaviour. Our aim here is to support people, not to be punitive in any way.
Okay.
And we have a fantastic team in our customer accounts team that will work with residents. If any of residents listening in and they are worried, the thing we always say is contact us. Don't let this worry build up. Don't let the problems get bigger. Contact us. We have very professional, excellently, they are genuinely incredibly caring people who will work with you confidentially to talk through the challenges you might have and then agree how we might solve them together.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. Contact points, I'm presuming first place to start is the website.
That's right. Everything you need is on our website. We also now have something called My Curo. And if you have a phone, you can go on the App Store and you can put in My Curo. Actually, you don't even have to do that because you can do it all off the web page. If you go on the web page and you put My Curo, you can now have 24 hours a day access to your account. You'll be able to see exactly where you are. And then from there, if you want to talk, you just need to press some buttons and you'll be taken straight to the contact details if you want a confidential conversation.